Pastor Julian here with Central's Devotion for today. I hope you're doing well. So this Sunday, I'm going to be preaching. And I'll be preaching on the fifth of the 7 miraculous signs that Jesus performs, or that's recorded in the Gospel of John. Now, John says there's more that Jesus did, more miraculous signs, but he specifically picked out these 7 miracles. And so this Sunday, we're going to be looking at the 5th, and that is Jesus walking on water. And I'm going to look at the Gospel of John account, but also I'm going to be probably focusing a little bit more on the Gospel of Matthew account found in Matthew 14, which includes a larger view of what happened on that boat when the disciples saw Jesus walking on the water, and the participation of one of the disciples, which is Peter. But I want to take a look at John's account as well. I want to look at John's account with you right now. So this is John chapter 6, verses 15 to 21. Now, this takes place after Jesus feeds the 5,000. He has an incredible miracle of turning just a couple of fishes and loaves into just an abundant feast that more than fills 5,000 people who came to hear Jesus speak. And those people were astounded. Jesus provided for them, gave them all this food miraculously, and Jesus is a little bit afraid of what's going to happen next after this huge miracle. And so, verse 15, perceiving then that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, Jesus withdrew again to the mountain by himself. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea. They got into a boat, and they started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come with them. The sea became rough, because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they were glad to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. This is truly an incredible story, and it's interesting, because this is there's a structure here where you have Jesus feeding the 5,000, then you have Jesus walking on the water here, and then he's meeting and talking about the feeding of the 5,000 again after this particular miracle. So it's like there's a sandwich situation going on here, and this is kind of like some cream in the middle of the Oreo, so to speak. So here you have the disciples. We read from the other accounts that Jesus told the disciples, just go on ahead. I need to deal with the crowds here, and I want to go up on a mountain. I want to pray and get away from everyone. Because we find out here in this account that, he's concerned that because Jesus just provided for their needs and they witnessed this incredible miracle, that they are going to take him and say, you need to be king right now, and who knows what that would start as far as getting the hackles up of Pharisees and so on and so forth to maybe speed up the process of what eventually does happen with Jesus dying on the cross. Anyway, so here the disciples went down to the sea. They're out on the boat. and they're going across the Sea of Capernaum, and it's dark. It's dark, and the sea becomes rough, and there's strong winds blowing. There's a storm. This is a storm. And they're alone without Jesus. Now we know about that there was another situation where the disciples were on a boat and a storm occurred. And it happened prior to this. Only difference was that Jesus was on the boat when they were out at sea and the storm came and they were terrified of what was going to happen. Jesus was asleep down in the bottom of the boat, and they were frantic, and Jesus came up and quieted the storm and was annoyed that they did not have faith and that they didn't trust, and that they were with Jesus and would be safe. So here, Jesus isn't with them, and they have this storm occur. They can't. Their boat is stalled because they can't move it anymore. I don't know if you've tried to row against the current or boat against the current. You move real slow, and sometimes you can get stopped. And they didn't have motorboats back then, that's for sure. So they were stalled, they were stopped, and there were some rough waves, and it was dark, and it was scary. They didn't know what was happening. They were discouraged. And what happens? Jesus appears walking on the water. Not just any water, these incredibly rough waves, and makes his way to them. And once Jesus is with them again, everything is okay. The storm calms, and their boat just is delivered. Like, without even rowing or anything, their boat makes its way right to their destination. So, when looking at this, what I get out, there's a lot of different things that we can look at and get out of this particular passage. And we're going to talk a lot more about it on Sunday, but here's the storm. And Jesus is not with them, and they're terrified. They're not making any progress. Jesus, it all changes when Jesus arrives and gets in the boat with them. Everything changes with Jesus. The miraculous, that Jesus could even walk on water. He's in control of it all. This is his world. And if we are his disciples, we need to understand that this is his world. And we need to keep our eyes on him and make sure that we have faith and trust in him, that he is God, and he is going to get us to our destination where we need to go, and that all will be right. God bless you, and have a great day.